lot of people know what's going on. The Charlie Kirk situation and so many other, school shootings. Today I was going on my daily walk, and there's this church by me. Now, mind you, I haven't gone to church in years. But today I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start going back to church to pray for healing for humanity. I don't know how many people have been feeling that way in light of recent events. How many people feel like they just want to get closer to God or pray more or just surround themselves with, like-minded spiritual people because there's power in prayer, power in that collective energy of prayer. So I don't know if anybody is feeling that. This is kind of a rhetorical question. I'm just putting it out there that I was just called to come back to church today and pray for healing, for humanity, because I'm really scared of the direction that we're going. For the first time in I think probably in my life, in a long time, I was afraid to go out of the house today. I was afraid to walk 2 blocks to the store. I had to pray before I left the house. Please, Lord, don't let me get shot in the neck or just let me get shot. Now, I don't live in a violent neighborhood, but you just don't know, right? So I don't know. We just need to collectively pray. I don't know. There's more of a statement than a question, ladies and gentlemen. I just want.
Thank you for saying that. And I have to say, I want to shout out Yarl's comment in the chat, which was, let's all pray to Grok, because that's a whole other issue. I thought that was.
How you doing, Sandra?
I'm well, JB. I was wondering where you were. I've been looking for you the last few days.
I was on vacation.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you. The mic is yours, ma'am.
It is a little scary. It is a little scary. And I do still pray. And I have been praying. And I'm just hoping that we can get out of this alive because it's just so many different things going on right now. It's a lot of different things going on right now. So I'm praying. I'm trying to stay focused. I'm trying to stay positive. And it is a little scary. I'm not going to lie. It's a little scary.
Do you know, Sandra, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to Nye, both women who I have the utmost respect for. And I'm going to date myself here. Myself and probably Mike Moon and maybe Jordan and maybe a couple other people in the room. But I remember growing up under Ronald Reagan, right? No matter what you do, whether you're Republican, Democrat, there was this feeling amongst the country that America was on the upswing. And I grew up in Brooklyn, right? It wasn't the safest area. But there was hope. There was something there that we all gravitated to. Now fast forward to 45 years later, and it's not there anymore. How do we become so divided? How did this cultural war start? I mean, look, Nye is my ride or die on this app, right? We open rooms. She's always by my side. We have 2 very different political views in the world, but we still respect each other. We still like each other. I don't say, you know what? The digital, I agree with you. Social media, with no guardrails, has really fucked up this world. Excuse my language. There's so much shit going on in this world. We haven't even spoke about the school shooting yesterday in Colorado, where the young man who was the shooter is dead, and two young kids were shot.
Doesn't even make the news anymore. School shootings are failing to make the news now.
Jay, yesterday there was a 13...
Hold on. Let me just say this real quick. This young shooter, this young man, I think he was 16, he was radicalized online. He started following some Islamic websites, and that was it. Next thing you know, he's taking a gun to school. Get Adams.
Well, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So there was a 13-year-old boy shot in a drive-by shooting in Santa Ana, California yesterday, and nobody talked about it. Shot and killed. shot and killed. You know, it's crazy.
Let's talk
to me
about
how
the fucking
nobody
1,000
wants
murders
to
that
have a
happen every
conversation
day
about
in this
these things,
country.
but then they want to latch on to the divisive arguments about all the bullshit that's going on in the culture wars. Like it's delusional. It's delusional. It's absolutely delusional.
Well, let me ask this question real quick, Mike. Let me just ask this one question, and this is to anybody. Is there a violence problem in America? A people violence problem? Or is there a gun violence problem in America?
Both.
I think it's a gun violence problem.
I think the nation and a mental health problem. I think that the mental health problem is largely brought on by social media. I think that the country took a major escalation yesterday when nearly everybody saw a close-up video of a man being shot in the neck and pouring out a quart of blood in 2 seconds. I personally have visited sites where I saw beheadings. I've sought them out to look at them because I'm just morbid like that. I've seen, Mexican cartel killings, but I know most people don't do that. They don't want to see them. They would choose not to. Yet, yesterday, for the first time, the majority of our population saw very graphically at close-up range what it's like to take a bullet to your carotid artery. And I think that it was a turning point of sorts where the violence was so visceral that it's impacting people who were not fans or didn't even know who Charlie was in a way that I don't know where it's going to go, but I think in my opinion, people need to see the results firsthand of this kind of destruction, human destruction, in order to really fully understand oftentimes what they're supporting without even knowing it. So I think it took a graphic step forward in a really bizarre way yesterday that I'm personally reeling from, and I've seen worse personally, but I've never seen that bad on a regular streaming platform. That was literally shown to my son, who walked in from school and said, "Oh my God, some kid just threw this picture in front of me of some guy, shooting blood out of his neck." And he's like, "I didn't even know." I'm like, "What the hell am I being shown this for?" That's different than the past. There's something changed because of that. Something's going to change in people because of that. And I hope that it results in something that isn't horrendous. And hopefully the opposite for some reason, maybe to give a little bit of a shit more about humanity. I don't know, but I'm just saying it was a big deal.
Thank you, Mike. Let me say hello to Protagonist. Protagonist, how you doing?
What's going on, JB?
You're very low, my friend. Can you turn up your mic?
So turn it up?
Yeah, you're very low. I can barely hear you.
That's better?
Say again?
I said, is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so to answer your question, I feel like it's a people's problem more than it's a gun problem. And, it's pretty evident when you see how many people, out there that's heartless and literally have no soul. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care what ideology you have, what you believe in, right? To see a man sitting live on the stream in front of his wife and his kids get shot in the neck and die live in front of everybody, to see that and come on social media and start celebrating his death, is there some really sick people out there, right? And we can't just blame it on guns, because we're seeing it in the aftermath, right? After the death. The guns ain't doing it. The guns ain't getting on Instagram and Facebook Live with their phones and talking about, celebrating a man's death because he didn't believe, or he spoke against a man wanting to transition into a woman. Yeah, you can do that, but that doesn't make you a woman, right? For him standing on, Jesus Christ and God first and love and, being a good overall human being and being a good person, that's the type of messages he was pushing, right? To have somebody get killed for speaking the truth is I wouldn't say an eye opener, because we all know we have assassinations of, JFK for, speaking some truths and going against the grain with the system. We have Martin Luther King, we have Malcolm X. Like we've seen it over the course of history, where when someone have an impact and influence on people and can galvanize the American people, or perhaps change their mind, get them thinking outside the box, they assassinate those people. It's just that we heard about stories of that, we didn't actually see it. This is the first time, like, for us to actually see it, right? Not just hear about it, but and that's what makes it even more like real, because it's like, yo, like, and this is why everybody is like where they at, and viewing the world different, and some people are like probably reluctant at this point in time to even, speak and say certain things. I think that was done on purpose to inject fear into the world, to have people who speak the truth or go against the system to fall back into their shell and not be vocal. I think that's a message.
So one of the things he said, and I may lose my battery, is that he would not get on a plane with a black pilot. In 2025, that kind of intolerance is probably going to provoke someone out there among the 330 million people in America. So it was intolerance that he was perpetuating in hopes.
That wasn't even the worst of it.
Hold on. Respectfully, context means everything, right? So I don't like the fact. I don't like bashing
people in their death.
Slippers, relax. This is what I'm saying, like, because I heard a lot of people say that, right? He said the comment about him with the black pilot, right? And y'all never put it out. Y'all never put the context out there. He was asked the question, right? And it was based off of a ruling that came down in the judicial system about DEI, and it was a suit against a company, for practicing or not practicing, whatever the case may be. And he spoke about how the airline said that they was going to increase. It was only 3 or 4% of the pilots were black, and they wanted to increase that to 50%. This was their goal, to have 50% of pilots black. And because they were trying to do that, they had put in there that they was going to lower the standards of certain things. They, not just black, I'm sorry. They wanted 50% of black and women. That's what it was. It wasn't just black people. It was black people and women as pilots. They wanted to increase from 4% to 50%. That is a dramatic jump, which means that you would literally have to stop hiring white people or other ethnicities of people to specifically get this done. So now we dealing with racism now, because now you're saying in order for you to get 50%, you have to hire based off of race, and that's racism, right? I'm only gonna hire a bunch of black people and women until we reach the 50% quota, which means that if a white or Asian pilot come and they qualify for the job, but we gonna have to hire somebody over here. That's what it was. And that's what they was talking about. And that's when he said that, if I get on a plane with a black pilot doing this or enacting this policy, if I get on a plane and I see a black pilot, I may question myself and my safety, because they already said that they lowering the standards just so they can hire more of them. So that means they may be okay pilots. They may not be the best, the cream of the crop. Like, so, and people take that and then they try to racialize and be like, oh, he hated black people. No. Y'all take everything out of context. That wasn't the point. The point was they was talking about DEI. And in order to fulfill DEI numbers, you have to reach a quota. That's what it is. The same thing we complain about with police officers. The reason why police officers harass people in inner city communities is because when they at job and they go in and they have that meeting, the chief or whatever want to know, what was your quota? How many people you arrested? So now they out here pressured trying to fill quotas, or they lose their job. And that's what happens when you implement quotas. Quotas aren't a good thing. So now you have, and I don't want to repeat myself, but that's basically what DEI would do. It implements a quota, and then now you have to ostracize a bunch of people from a specific race just so you can fill this quota. And that's not right.
Thank you, protagonist. AC, you wanted to jump in, then I want to go to Sir and Moose.
Yeah, briefly, I think so. I was not a fan of Charlie Kirk as a organizer. I did see his potential with his ability to galvanize particularly young white men and women under the age of 30. He definitely was on the trajectory of having some sort of a running for some sort of political office that he would have won outright, right? But I will say this, is Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, is just a more polished version of Nick Fuentes. And what he did is he normalized far-right ideology in the public. And so Charlie Kirk spread a bunch of lies about DEI. As a DEI practitioner, somebody that built not only JP Morgan's diversity, equity, inclusion initiative, but also Salesforce's, what I'll tell you is he spread so much misinformation, which protagonist, you kind of repeated what he wanted people to think about DEI. And so I will say this without hijacking the conversation and staying on topic, is Charlie Kirk spread lies of DEI that people actually believe. When people say the term DEI hire, that really is supposed to mean the most qualified candidate and the most vetted candidate, right? In terms of, we're going to market this opportunity to everyone, and the most qualified person gets the role. But I will say this to both protagonists and Charlie Kirk's sort of position on DEI is that a lot of organizations did implement it incorrectly. And so some of the criticisms of DEI is valid, but that's based more so on poor execution than it is the actual the actual implementation of the work. And I'll end my plane with that.
Thank you, AC. Everybody hold on, Slippers, I got you. Let me just say this real quick. Whether we want to agree or disagree or argue over it, the Donald Trumps, the Charlie Kirks, and the people of that ilk, they speak to a certain segment of America that feels that they hadn't had a voice in many, many years. Now, is Donald Trump a racist? I don't know. I have my opinion. Everybody has their opinion. Was Charlie Kirk a racist? I don't know. I like Charlie Kirk because I thought he was, at least he wasn't, and I felt disingenuous in his debates. He gave people a chance to push back. But like I said, there's a segment of America that resonates with these people. Get Slippers.
So I really wish that people, in kind of breaking down the main rhetoric that was behind the platform that Charlie Kirk had, DEI was just a small part of that. I'm talking about the dehumanization that came behind him discussing the death of Black people in modern times in America, especially during 2020. So I mean, to me, it's very strange to me, and I'm not trying to offend anybody in this room, but it's very strange to me that a lot of conservative white people on this app wanted to run up into Black spaces and browbeat Black people for not holding what they felt was a certain acceptable form of empathy. So I'm going to go back to where this man developed a platform and doing nothing more than complaining, to be very honest with you. Didn't run for public office, never held any type of professional credential or any sort of position outside of just complaining on the internet. Okay, completely disrupted the grieving process of many Black families in America by attaching his demonizing statements and bashing people after their death. So again, I go back to the point that I initially made, that I do not believe that what happened to him was okay. But I'm explaining to you why there's a certain ilk of Black America that, quite frankly, isn't necessarily not empathetic, but more indifferent, given his vicious attacks against people and bashing them after their death.
Thank you, Adams. Moose, you want to chime in on this? Moose, are you there? Jersey Moose? All right, let me go to Sir. Mr. Skilled Tradesman, how you doing?
What's up, JB? What's up, everyone?
You want to chime in?
No, I'm just listening, bro. I'm just listening in. But what's up?
I know that voice. It's my man, the librarian. You changed your name.
Librarian, yeah.
Why'd you change your name for? That's like your trademark, dude.
Don't just go being crazy and just invite a bunch of people.
Say again, Bella?
Did y'all just go ping crazy and invite a bunch of people?
Did we
Did
go
y'all
crazy?
just ping crazy? Like, go ping crazy. Like, ping, 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 ping. I don't know most of you. Not to be rude, though. Sorry. I apologize.
Well, we made the room for you, Bella. We've been waiting for you to get here. You're kind of the focus of the whole thing, so thanks for showing up.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
You know, JB, I would say that this incident yesterday on the college campus with this murder, it goes to say that you should be mindful of what come out your mouth, because everything that he have said, he have openly lived, including his murder. I hate to say it that way. He believed in public executions. His execution was public. I apologize for being so cruel, but it's the reality in which we live in.
Where do you say he believed in public execution?
You
Who said that?
You need to do your research on them.
No, I don't need to do no research. This is what I hate. Y'all come up here, y'all make claims, and then you know then substantiate your claim. What did he say?
Hold on. First of all, you didn't ask me what did he say. What I said was, if you want to know exactly what he said, word for word, go and you can research the man. You can type in his name, and you know it's gonna come up.
I watch a lot of his videos. I've never heard. That's why I'm asking you. I'm not asking you that as if I don't know who he is or I've never heard his material. I know the exact quote that you're talking about. That's why I said, where did he say that he was okay with public execution? He never stated that. Not one time.
You sure?
So you just came up here and lied. I'm positive. I'm 1,000% positive.
If I play the clip, you'll shut up.
Oh yeah,
Play the clip.
On this one. Play the clip.
He explained that he believed in public execution for those who commit horrible crimes as a deterrent. So do I agree with it. But I'm not gonna openly say that, hey, yeah, we should just take every person that's convicted of a crime and put them out in the courtyard.
Wouldn't that only be ironic if he actually committed a horrible crime? Then he was publicly executed, but you're missing the other half of what he said. He didn't commit any horrible crimes.
Hey, he asked for the execution.
There's no irony there.
Yeah.
The irony will give you
execution. What are you talking about? See, this is the evil people I was just telling y'all that exist in the world. He asked for the execution. Who the fuck asked to be executed live like that? Come on, bro. You're a grown-ass man.
You have a good point, Protagonist. People take the quote and then they paraphrase it in their own words. But when they do that, they skew it based on what they hear from it. And then they re-quote it in their own words as if that's what was said. And then if you say that's not what was said, they'll play the quote, but then they'll double down on their version of what he meant. It's like this game that people play. I can't tell you how many times in the last day I've heard people talk about the time that Charlie Kirk said that the loss of some lives may be necessary in order to preserve the right for the Second Amendment for everybody else to have. And then they'll say, oh, yeah, they'll talk about the irony of it. Listen, it is ironic that he said that and it happened to him. I'll give you that. But the idea that he's responsible for answering to the deaths of every single gun death in America just because he supports the right to bear arms, he is not responsible for needing to explain those deaths. So the very premise of the question was unfair in the first place. The only thing, in light of the fact that he said what he said and was killed the way he was, is that there is irony involved. And we can talk about how isn't that ironic, but we don't talk about how that he should have expected it or he deserved it because of what he said. That's a step too far, and it's a paraphrasing that doesn't coincide with what the actual words were. So I agree with your Protagonist 100%. If people want to stand by the quote and leave it for the listener to interpret, that's fine. But don't interpret it for me and then tell me as if you're quoting him and it's fact, because it's not. I've heard him misquoted so many fucking times in the last day. It's frustrating.
Let me jump in for 1 second, Protagonist, and then you can go with it. And I also want to say hello to Holly. Why don't you change your PTR? As soon as you came in, I'm like, oh, look at Holly. She's all grown up. Mike Moon, I sent you a text offline. If you could just take that real quick. Thank you. Yeah, Protagonist.
Yeah, no, I just was challenging him on his position because that's what a lot of people do, right? And for those that don't know Charlie Kirk or didn't listen to him, and they just found out about him because of what happened, they're listening and they hear people come up there and say that, and then they're like, oh, he said that, and you know, now you're skewing people's perspectives when that's not what was said. That's not the context, you know. And then to say that he asked for his execution, like, come on, bro, you're a grown ass man. Like you out here, you acting like very emotional and irrational by making a statement like that. Nobody asked to be executed.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question, protagonist.
I really didn't have that. Yeah.
Let me just ask you this question. Yeah. This might be a polarizing question, people. First off, protagonist, please cash in your pink ticket. But let me ask you this question, bro. Do you feel that? Why does everything have to come down to race in America? Because it seems like.
Because I think it's a big business, man. It's a money grabber, and they want to keep pushing it because a lot of activists make money off of it. If you know, I'm not one that's. I know racism exists, but I'm not one that's big on pushing the whole race thing. Like everything isn't about race. It's not. Like I would align with people more if they wanted to make the argument that it's about class, right? Because that's what it really boils down to. Like that, like if you poor and you white and you poor and you black and you poor and you Asian, like they don't give a fuck about nobody poor more than other, right? So we want to talk about how impoverished communities, you know, from all ethnicities, you know, have issues. I'm with that argument, but like just this whole race thing, like we got to get past that. That's the divide and conquer. That's what they've been using the whole time to keep us divided. And if we learn from history, we will see. Everybody that was on that tip wound up changing their mind. That's why you had the Rainbow Coalition with Fred Hampton and them. That's when Malcolm X came back from Mecca. He had a whole new perspective. He wasn't on that old white people bad shit. Like you've seen it over and over again with coalitions of the poor people coming together to change their predicament because we had more in common than we had, you know, differences. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, thank you, protagonist. You had some really good shares.
I think everything trickles down to race in America is because race. I mean, America is the first and only race-based empire in recorded human history. Like there has been other countries that have used something similar to race, like for example, India, the caste system, South Africa with their kind of race-based system, but they've never become world powers or empires. So in recorded human history, there has never been a race-based empire outside of America. Every other empire never went by race. And I think because that was the inception of America, that everything boils down back to it. And I don't know how we're going to be able to pivot outside of that. I just think in 2025, culture matters much more. But since it's America, everything goes back down to race.
Mikey, you're top left, baby.
No, I made you a moderator.
Yeah,
you're still top left.
You are top. You're still top left, bro.
I don't want to be.
I think it's time you step in. I think you get promoted to the big leagues, man. It's about time. You've earned your stripes.
Congratulations, Mike. This inevitable promotion was due any day.
Wow, I still prefer being Ed McMahon to Johnny Carson, but fair enough. Holly and Marshall, welcome to the stage. We have, just a recap, we've been talking about the room topic. We started there. We've also talked a little bit about Kamala Harris and her comments about her mistake she made with Joe Biden. Although she didn't really admit that she made the mistakes. She said it was a mistake. She took no responsibility for it. We've talked a little bit about that. And then, of course, Charlie Kirk's on everyone's mind, so we're allowing that conversation as well. So, Holly, welcome.
Interesting. I might not have the best service, so tell me if I'm chopping up.
You're fine.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Now you're not.
I've been,
No, you're good now. Go ahead.
You're good now.
I'm still really hurting. My heart is still really hurting. I don't know. I'm just really struggling with all this, honestly. It's, I'm still struggling. I don't know how to tell you. I don't know what else to say. I'm heartbroken still. And I'm trying to move past the that I find myself in and the heaviness.
I'm sorry to hear that. As your friend and recently even met you offline in real life, I can tell you that you're not alone. I know that a lot of people may think that it's unbelievable to feel personally really sad when it's a celebrity and somebody we don't know. I personally have been really sad about it too. I even broke down and cried a tiny bit when I was telling my wife about it yesterday, because she doesn't follow politics or news much. And I found myself doing it, but my perspective, I wasn't a huge Charlie fan necessarily at all, actually. Although I did watch a lot of his videos because I enjoyed his intellect sometimes. My perspective was that I felt like it was a major step in the decline of American patriotism, that I heard so many people justifying the killing of somebody who was the clearest example I can possibly imagine of just exercising his Second Amendment or First Amendment rights. And it was, I haven't heard until recently he's not a politician, he wasn't elected, he was just a guy with an opinion that was popular enough to make him famous, and he was killed for his opinion. And I hear people celebrating that, and I see that as an unpatriotic thing to do as Americans. I think any American that can celebrate the killing of somebody for expressing their constitutional rights, therefore doesn't believe in the Constitution enough to be a patriot of their own country. And it's pathetic and it's sad. And then there was also the video, which I talked about earlier. It's the first time that a lot of people have seen anything that graphic. Most people don't search that shit out, even though beheading videos and things have been on the internet a long time. It was kind of in our face, X just doesn't freaking censor anything anymore. So I think a lot of people saw a cord of blood shoot out somebody's neck for the first time in their life. I think it's impactful. I think it hit a lot of people really hard, and it hadn't, for a lot of people, had nothing to do with who it was. Had everything to do with what it represents, the whole action itself. So I'm sorry that you've been feeling that way. I've been struggling too, and that's why we tried to do a room that didn't make it to highlight.
Well, let's say hello to Moose. Let's see what he thinks about Charlie Kirk. I got you, Marshall. Moosey, what's up?
Hey, Joey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Marshall? I've been trying to call on Moose for 5 minutes. You don't answer me. Is it a New York
too? Come on, Moose.
Is it a New York, Jersey thing, Moose? All right, let's go to Marshall. Marshall?
So I just wanted to provide some historical context of something I looked up. AC made the claim that America is the only empire based off ethnicity or skin color is what his claim was. I looked this up. Most empires in antiquity, for example, or the Middle Ages, used ethnicity, culture, language, or religion. Roman Empire emphasized Roman citizenship, cultural assimilation, not color. The Chinese dynasties saw themselves as a middle kingdom, often drew lines between Han Chinese and the barbarians. But these were cultural, ethnic boundaries, not radicalized by skin color. Radicalized empires in the modern era, ideas of race as tied to skin color really solidified during the Age of Exploration, the 15th to the 19th centuries, when European powers built overseas empires. So there are three empires that find themselves in this classic definition: Spanish Portuguese empires, the British and the French empires, apartheid South Africa. Pseudo-racial empires or states would have been Nazi Germany and Jim Crow America specifically. I just thought that might be useful. AC wasn't trying to scold you or nothing, just thought the history would be useful to you.
That's actually right, but the wrong part about it is the term race actually was redefined. Race used to mean your family group, right? So when we talk about our modern definition of colorized races, America is the only world power that's that way. You mentioned South Africa, they're not a world power. I specifically said world power, world leader. So if you weren't a world empire, like the number one country in the world, then you don't count.
I don't know, Mike. How does Marshall retain all these thoughts?
I don't know, but I love the angle he brings in. I always appreciate his shares. Unbelievable. It just puts things into perspective. I like to hear about history. They say history, doesn't necessarily repeat, but it rhymes. It's really helpful when you have those submissions. I appreciate it. Welcome, Jason.
And
I guess we'll go to.
On top of that, Mike, before you go to the next speaker,
Yeah.
and this is no bullshit, Marshall's probably the nicest human being on this app. Always has been.
He is. Hell yeah, he is, dude. He invited me to stay in his family's cabin recently, and I was like, oh my God, that's so kind. I might take him up on one of these days.
Yeah, but
Christine.
Marshall, Mike, you didn't tell Marshall that if you stay, you're not going to leave.
I'll probably leave. Texas is too fucking hot for me to stay there very long. Christine, you're up, and then Jason. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to respond.
Chris, you're very low, hon.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just talk. Yeah, get close, loud.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Sound great now.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wanting to respond to what you said, Mike, about watching such a graphic, violent video. JB knows and Marshall knows I teach, and that's what's breaking my heart, is that kids are exposed to this. I had one class today, 2 groups of students were discussing the whole incident, and, I don't know. I have different thoughts on each side. Historically, people have been exposed to violence in the past. They weren't sheltered, but we were talking about it like it's the accessibility of the news and the constant accessibility, or the constant in our face. And, I told one student, I said, unless you stop using your cell phone and any tech device, we're really never not going to be overexposed. It gives me hope that they're conscious of it, they have issues with it, but it's obviously room's not about that. Kids are exposed to a lot of really bad things via tech, so I don't know. It's just heartbreaking to me, and I knew that they're going to be able to watch it, but I didn't know if they'd discuss it, and they did. They pretty much confirmed. On a side note, I did give a disclaimer to the class that I don't mind them discussing some issues, but be aware of other people in the room, and because we're on computers, I said absolutely no videos, because I'm afraid, and I've had this before years ago, that students have watched something on a computer that was inappropriate like that in the
What grade do you teach, Christine?
Well, I'm in high school, but that incident happened in college because I also taught cop.
Okay.
Mike, you remember when we were kids? We got those bootleg copies of Faces of Death.
Yeah. It was a big deal, though. It was shocking.
Yeah, it was.
And it wasn't nearly as graphic as the shit that video shows. Even that. For one thing, some of it was fake. Some of it was real. Some of it was faked. It was hard to tell which was which. This is 100% real. This reminds me a little bit of a turning point that I remember specifically, among children at least, when Bill Clinton brought the conversation about what blowjobs are to the youth of America almost overnight. It was something that strangely was not really understood or talked about prior to him. And then after his trial, it was common conversation among kids. Everybody knew what a blowjob was. Everybody learned what it was, regardless how old they were. It kind of reminds me of that. I remember that as a distinctive turning point. That okay, their innocence is forever lost in this one capacity. Of course, then porn became ubiquitous and available, accidentally via the computer that everybody had in their pocket. That was another step. This is a step of violence that I think kind of fits in the same category.
Well, can I just say 2 things? As you were talking, I was thinking, and I looked at this site once years ago when the internet came out, rotten.com.
Yeah.
And I almost threw up, and I was like, I don't need to see this. I don't even know if it was real, but if it was
real. It was real.
Oh my God, it was like someone's head blown off. But on a side note, to what you said, absolutely. And I'm also a parent, even though the kids are much older now, but rainbow parties. and the rainbow thing was, I believe, post-Clinton. And if you don't know what that is, just look it up. There was skepticism in the middle school age that was real, or was it like some kind of manufactured fear thing for parents and kids? But yeah, it was post-Clinton. Like, I think like you have, and I don't want to know what the repercussions like similar to this would be, but you have like timelines, like jumps in time where something gets into the consciousness of society, and then it morphs, I think, or influences into, or manifests, I guess is the right word, in other ways later.
It creates a permanent desensitization, right? Jason, you're up, and then MOG. Thank you for that, Christine.
Well, before Jason goes, let me just say this real quick. Then I'll hand it to Jason. Here's my opinion. What's wrong with society? The two major problems. There's no guardrails at all on any social media, right? There's none. Kids look at the kid that shot 2 other kids in Colorado yesterday. He was radicalized online. That's one thing. And the second thing is the availability of porn. Porn is everywhere, and it's ruining these young kids, their minds, and I totally believe that. Jason, thank you for your patience, sir. The mic is yours.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have much to say that's not been already said.
Cashing your pink ticket.
Jason, you don't seem like a deeply emotional person, although I'm not saying you aren't. How did yesterday affect you, or did it much?
Yeah, I mean, I was chagrined. I was really, I guess surprised by that. It was kind of I don't know what to say. Disappointed, saddened. Yeah.
Were you disappointed in our country, our people, or what most?
It's like the times, right? Like, how did we get here? I've not watched very much of Charlie Kirk's content, and a lot of the time I've been like, there's a better way to say what he's saying. If there's when I think there's something good that he's saying, I don't find myself agreeing with him very much or supporting him, but at least he's out there trying to talk to people, right? And then for him to get killed like this, I mean, that's just, it's kind of unbelievable. It's like, I don't know. It's like they picked low-hanging fruit. They're like, well, if we try to kill Trump, it doesn't work, okay? So I guess I can't, the lone wolf or whatever. Okay, he's not going to try to go for a political figure. He'll go for a minor celebrity. That guy's not going to have very much, security or anything. So he'll kill that guy. And it's like not even, at that point, it's kind of like, I don't know.
I love the way you think. It's really pragmatic and really common sense, and you always bring an extra component to something I'm not thinking about, like the simplicity of going after the soft target, in retrospect and after the fact of missing Trump, and possibly it's the same sort of motives, but just a softer target. It's something I never really thought about, and it just makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that.
Well, Mike, let me say this. I don't know if people are aware that Charlie Kirk a couple of weeks ago met with a security agency, and they highly recommended that he put a bullet resistant glass around whatever speech he's going to give. And he said he would get back to him, and he never got back to him, and look what happened. But guys, I'm going to step aside for 5 minutes. Mike Moon is the top left. It's his room. Let's respect his rules. Get Mike.
Mike, can I get the key? Yeah, absolutely, Mother. I was actually going to invite MG, and then you were next. So, MG, if you have anything to say, go ahead, and then Mother's, of course, next. And welcome.
All right, man. Greetings to the room. R.I.P. Charlie. Now, let me see. I didn't even know about this guy at all, like, period. So, I just started hearing about him yesterday. And first of all, let me say, praise to his family and stuff, because that's crazy. So, I had to do a little research on the guy. And some of the things I saw first was like some outlandish quotes and shit about like some things about black people, which was kind of crazy. But I also saw some things that I agree with as well. So, but I was criticizing people. I was like, I don't understand why you all are happy. I don't care what stupid opinion somebody has. Why are y'all happy somebody got shot in the neck in 4K? Like, it's a disgusting time in American society when people are happy because of somebody with their different opinions that you don't agree with. They can't stop you if you have any willpower. They can't, like, why would you celebrate them getting shot in the neck in 4K? See, there's a couple elements around this. You saw the guy get shot, okay, and the way the bullet entered the man's body was crazy. And his children are going to have to grow up, and they're going to have to see that one day. That day, their lives will be ruined forever. And it's crazy that I see women celebrating this shit, and these leftist crazy heads. That's why they lost this election, because they're fucking possessed by the goddamn devil. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? So I'm like, bro, now I just want, I was gonna get on the white people, man, but I've given y'all enough. All right, Mike, can I jump in?
Wait, you can. Hold on, mother comes up after MG, and then I can throw you in next.
Okay, yeah. So,
MOG, I appreciate the share, and I appreciate your resistance to chastising white people for the time being. I appreciate it.
I'm not going to do it. Y'all do a lot right now.
Hey, what you're saying puts you as an outsider among your own people as well, right? You're being logical about it. You understand this guy wasn't perfect, but you also find disgust in it. And I just want to say one thing. A lot of the people that are praising this don't even have the intensity or the intestinal fortitude to take down a deer on their own with a 30-06, but they'll sit there and praise. If you stuck it in their own hands, they'd probably throw up if they had to approach a deer that had been killed that way. So fuck them. Anyway,
can I land with this real quick?
Yeah.
Real quick. I didn't agree with some of the things he said, but man, I saw a lot of what he did. A lot of times he was standing up for Christ. He was doing stuff that a lot of these niggas will not do. Excuse my pronouns. But it's like, so I don't understand why the people are just celebrating it. It's disgusting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's completely disgusting. But you can go ahead.
We hear you. Thank you, Mike.
So my view on this man has radically changed in 24 hours. Yesterday I came on this app and I was saying, it sucks that he got shot. Political violence is bad in this country. Blah, blah, blah. That was my position yesterday. Then I took some time today and I went and actually looked up some of what this man has been saying. And this is someone who has advocated for putting to death all of the LGBTQ people in this country. This is someone who is advocating for businesses to not serve people, gay, trans people in this country. This is a guy that says he's totally fine with deaths in this country if it protects the Second Amendment. This is a man's views. Good riddance. Fuck him. He won't be missed is my position now. Yesterday I was feeling bad for him, but now I think it is actually better for our country for him to be dead.
So, well, let me say one thing. You're certainly entitled to that opinion. I'm sure that many people share it with you. I will say that the three things that you found, and you said in the beginning of your those comments, are arguably interpretable differently when put into context and read through different lens. So what you're giving us is a paraphrase of three things that he supposedly said based on how you heard them. But short of listening to them, interpreting them for ourselves, what you're saying is easily just as inaccurate as inaccurate. There's much more to some of the things you've mentioned that I'm well aware of than how you put them. So when you overly simplify like that, it does a disservice to the people in the room that aren't familiar with the exact quotes you're talking about.
So this process where you twist what I'm. So first of all, did you want me to pull up the quote and read verbatim what he said and then do a dialogue?
I think it. Hang on, mother. I think it'd be helpful.
Their own research. This man is a piece of shit, and is it what I'm consolidating?
Again, I heard you and I respect
is exactly what his statement is. So stop trying to make this man a saint. He's a
perfect. So why don't you put in a link to all three of the points that you made, things you said relative to those points.
Research.
No, you asked me, hang on, you asked me if I wanted you to, and I said, yeah, I do. I would like you to put the quotes in so people can interpret themselves. See, the problem with the people today is they like to hear the opinions of other people and then take them as fact without using their own intellect to determine what was really being said, their own listening comprehension. If you paraphrase what he said, take it out of context and give me the cliff notes through the eyes of your evaluation, it may not actually be what I believe he says if I hear the actual quote myself. So you said three things. I would urge the room to take it with a grain of salt until you actually listen to the three. And if you have any interest in actually educating the people about how awful he is, per the things you said, go ahead and put a link to each one of the three things he said that you're talking about and let them interpret themselves. They might not agree with you.
This is exactly what Doctor. Google and find it. Mike is being kissing his ass right now. He probably agrees with us. A horrible human.
Hold on. Nicholas, hold on.
Mike, yeah, I'm going to move him down for that comment. But go ahead, Jay.
Let me do a quick reset, and then we'll go to Jordan and Moose and Mike. Community conversations and collaboration. Is there a cultural war in America? I put a new article on top. Charlie Kirk shot live updates, new images, video person of interest in assassination released. So if you want to see who they're looking for, there's a $100,000 reward. That's the guy right there on the Jumbotron. Let me say hello to Heidi, y'all. How you doing, y'all? MG in the house, Liz. Serendipity. One Snatched. What a great place. Great space, guys. Follow Serendipity if you want a good conversation. William, how you doing? Samoa. We got Samoa coming up. Guys, you have a pink ticket, please cash it in. Necro, I have no idea why you have a pink ticket. RB, cashing your ticket. Jessica, cashing your ticket. We have great conversations here almost every day. I'm going to hand it back to Mike Moon, who's running the room. Mike?
And protagonist, please cash in your ticket. I love your shares. I don't know if the doctor going next because I told him I would, and then it looks like we still need to hear from MOG and then Moose if he ever shows up. Doctor, go ahead.
Yeah, I see the anonymous folks in the audience, so I'm a little reluctant to even speak, but I'll say this much. I don't think Charlie Kirk was a horrible person, but similar to Mother, when I dug deeper into his dual perspectives on the Jewish community, and I shared this with a Gentile room, I got a lot of pushback, and quite frankly, I think it's because they too were surprised that he said some of the things that he did. Certainly it was tragic. He didn't deserve to be shot, die the way he did at such a young age. Very unfortunate, but I think we have to remember that this is a public figure. Public figures have a lot of threats on their lives, particularly public servants. He's not a public servant, but I mean he's a political influencer, and he said some really questionable things about Nancy Pelosi's husband and the perpetrator of the crime when the guy assaulted Nancy's husband. So, I mean, you know, he was I don't want to hate on this guy other than say that he was a very controversial figure, and when you're in the public eye, and we're in such a polarized world that he contributed largely to for younger generations of Trump fans. I mean, like, I would never say anyone had anything like this coming, but what I would say that, you know, it's dangerous out there. And it's like, it's not entirely, it's probably not as surprising as, we probably shouldn't be as surprised as people are.
Yeah, Dr. Jordan, that's not the problem. The problem is when you meet toleration of speech, when the government's not allowed to impede on free speech, you get things like neo-Nazis marching in Skokie, Illinois, in a town full of Holocaust survivors, which the Supreme Court held up. There's this great movie with Michael Douglas. It's called The American President. One of the lines in this movie is, you need to go stand center stage next to a man who is yelling, his words make your blood boil. Stand center stage next to him and advocate at the top of your lungs what you would spend a lifetime opposing at the top of yours. The point is, people need to be free to express their opinions, or else the metric for how we do this is one's feelings on the matter, not what is important to have an effective government, which is people not getting murdered and assassinated. You are right. He is a public figure. You are right. He does have more criticism than most people. But the problem with him being shot is not just that he got shot and murdered. It's the very basis on which we have this idea of disagreement and the ability to find a way through it is being challenged by that. Now, we don't know the political affiliation of the shooter. We don't know why they did it. The dude could have been a neo-Nazi who didn't like the fact that he liked Israel. Could have been somebody on the left. We don't fucking know. But the point being, the concept, one of the core concepts for our country, much like other republics, is this idea that speech that makes your blood boil, makes you think somebody is evil, is protected. It's the idea. You don't need the protection when you say shit people agree with. You don't need it when you're slightly off kilter. You need it when people think you're batshit crazy and you're saying the most hateful shit you possibly can. That's when you need it.
Well, Marshall, hold on. Necro, hold on. Give Jordan a chance to push back. But let me say this. When you start shooting and killing people like they did Charlie Kirk yesterday, like he was assassinated, you're really shooting at the fundamental foundation of our country. I believe that wholeheartedly. Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, so people who are saying, or people who know that what they say may be received as controversial, choose, I'm not faulting this guy, but they choose to protect themselves with security personnel, right? Like there are, and I'm not saying that someone couldn't circumvent security, but there's so many things that didn't go right here. For example, and this applies to everyone, not just Charlie Kirk, as unfortunate as the loss of his life is. What I want to say is that I'm losing my train of thought. What happens is that you know that sound bites are going to be amplified. You know things are going to be taken out of context. There are politicians who have great success because they've mastered the sound bite, right? So this selectivity is part of our current culture and our political landscape. And if you say one thing that could be slightly taken out of context, I don't want to say the consequences are on you, but they are, quite frankly. And so you've got to be so careful. Now, if it benefits him...
Wait a second, Jordan. You're saying that this violence is normalized in our country?
No. What I'm saying is that you have to make the assumption that what you say could be clipped and taken out of context.
You're arguing for the rule of the mob, which is the exact reason the founders didn't give us a direct democracy. That's not ruled by law. That's not ruled by constitution. That's ruled by whatever airy-fairy thing the entire public thinks.
I mean, what Marshall's giving is hard love at this point, but he's dead fucking serious. I mean, it's factual as
well. Men in Black had a good saying. A person is smart. People are dumb, flighty, stupid animals. They react like that as a group. So if we are to let rights be defined by the mob, then our rights will flip with the flip of a coin. And in what universe do constitutional rights get changed with the flip of a coin? It doesn't work that way.
Marshall, Jordan, hold on a second, because Necro's been trying to jump in for like 15 minutes.
I want to get Necro or not. Yeah, Necro, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to know if my mic is working right now.
Yeah, it's working.
It's not.
Great.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, I mean, just in general, it's like I think, Jordan, you're right with the idea that all your words are accountable. But the point is, essentially, is that, freedom of speech is still something that's still protected to protect the minority opinion. That includes the opinions of hateful, racist people. And that is, it's like, a lot of bad ideas, it gets spread, but it's like, how do you, protect, the good ideas that are also unpopular without also stopping the bad ideas? I mean, it's just not possible. And so, yes, you should be held accountable.
there is accountability that you have as a person with a public figure, but still, I mean, your right to say what you say is still protected.
But I'm not talking about public figure in a legal framework. I'm talking about public figure given the implications of what a public figure is today versus what it was when the Constitution was written. So, for example, this guy's success was very much due to the fact that he went to these colleges, amassed huge crowds, and then reinforced and built a huge social media empire and makes about $12 million a year. That's neither here nor there. But the point is, his success is very much contingent on the environment which he works in, which is kind of a novelty even for modern history, right? And so he's speaking, that's probably why he wasn't excited about being, sitting behind a cage or a glass, a protective barrier, because he wants to resonate with the masses, the young people at colleges. So he's in kind of a unique situation. And so if he's willing, it's almost like we're careful and cautious of how we sometimes monitor ourselves on Clubhouse. Many people use pseudonyms, right? Because you're aware of, outside of a legal framework, you're aware of the consequences given the landscape, the social audio landscape. He was a public figure who said some pretty controversial things, even among groups that were unified, and he was very divisive. And so he didn't deserve any of what came his way, but you can't entirely be surprised. Now, I'm talking outside of a constitutional and legal framework, just from, and I don't have a whole lot of common sense, but the common sense that I do have, I'm applying to this situation where I would be very cautious saying some of those things, knowing that they could be selectively rebranded for the internet, and they could be amplified in spaces like the one that he unfortunately met his demise.
Oh, hold on a second, guys. Guys, hold on a second. Mike, I have to step away. No, I have to step away for 5 minutes. You guys got it? Mike? And
yeah, we got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be back.
I just want to say one thing to that, Doctor, which is that, again, I mean, it's a little bit of what Marshall was getting at, but these are the cases that test the importance of our constitutional rights the most. And because of that, the risk that he takes, although you might think that it was a bad idea and that it's dangerous and that it doesn't make a lot of sense, one could argue that he's acting sort of like a patriot of the Constitution by pushing the limits of those rights. Regardless of that, he's not the only one that speaks out in a manner that is inflammatory, that has a lot of followers. It doesn't justify him being killed. It certainly doesn't. It doesn't really justify him expecting to be killed or shot at. What it does is it provides an example of how little many Americans feel about the importance of their constitutional rights. If they're willing to think that this man doesn't deserve his, then they're certainly willing to give up their own. And I really think that's what he represents. In some ways, whether or not you agree at all with what he says, even if you hate his political takes on things, he is a patriot. At this point, he died a patriot of the First Amendment, and he's not the only one who will. But I'm really tired of hearing he didn't deserve to die, but it's getting tiresome. I'd like to hear he didn't deserve to die, and if your only take is he didn't deserve to die and it was dangerous what he was doing because it's inflammatory, then I would fully agree with you. Necro, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
In a second, Slippers. I want to give Necro. Yeah, right after Necro. Necro, do you have anything to say since he was talking to you? And you're next, Slippers. Necro.
Like I do understand to me like what Jordan I think is trying to get at, which is essentially that there's accountability for public, figures. People have so much power, but it's still, I mean, it's like, they still have the same rights to speak whatever's on their mind, basically. And so that needs to be recognized that, the Constitution protects people's rights to express whatever opinion they have is offensive.
Right, and it's more important than ever, mind you. I've been spending time in rooms with people from London, and I've been hearing about what it's like over there. These people in London, I said earlier in this room, they are unwilling to say what they think about the horrible things that are occurring over there because they're afraid of getting arrested by talking about it in Clubhouse. 5 years ago, the only time I ever heard anybody express that fear was a young girl in Saudi Arabia who got on here and was talking about the lack of women's rights. We're getting it in London now among people that are native English people. So make no mistake, what Charlie Kirk defended is something that America, if we lose it, we will deeply regret it. England can only wish they had it. Right now, they would give anything to have that. And it's too late. They can't have it. We were blessed to have it in the first place. Do not forget that sacrifice, regardless of who he was, what he said that you hated, that sacrifice puts him in a level where he is defending something that you're very lucky to have. We're all very lucky to have. I don't want that perspective to get lost. Slippers, go ahead.
I completely agree.
You can. And then it's Mike, because I haven't heard from him. Go ahead, Slippers.
Yeah, so I completely agree with you, 100%. But here is where I have a point of contention. We are discussing, I really wish that the outcry for people to hold a greater sense of empathy was consistent when the comments were made about Trayvon Martin, the comments were made about Michael Brown, the comments were made about Breonna Taylor, the comments were made about George Floyd, the comments were made about countless other Black people, okay, that for some reason, the reality of these said Black people were more of content as opposed to a recognition to a lot of those families' grieving process and to the overall narrative of their underlying legacy. So I'm not saying that people are right for celebrating. I think that is absolutely disgusting. But in defense of people who remain indifferent, I can understand where a lot of Black people are not pushing people out the way and, showing up to the Dollar Tree to buy a candle to go and attend a vigil. And that just simply is the reality. So, I'm sorry that we all come to an impasse in people not having the ability to see it from that perspective and to be consistent in understanding and respecting people's opinion and their free speech behind even those that are celebrating. We're mourning a person because I am mourning this man as an American that was fallen, over something that was senseless. Do I believe that it was antagonized? Absolutely, and that's where we disagree. But at the end of the day, I just don't feel like we're being consistent here. Okay, the man was fallen because of what people feel was attack against his free speech. Yet I'm seeing, Scott Pressler and a lot of far-right conservative people that are doxing people on Twitter and other social media spaces because they feel that them as the arbiters of morality have not met a moment. So let's cancel them. This is the most ridiculous fraud and so disingenuous it's not even funny.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you, and I'll hand it back over to you.
Sure.
Do you feel that we as Americans are starting to get anger fatigue? That we're just tired of being angry? We're tired of all the fucking trash we see in our algorithms? Am I mistaken, or is it just me?
Yeah, well, this week has done a doozy. I would say generally yes, and I would say this week absolutely yes. Nye, you can respond to that, and then I have something to say.
Well, please. No problem.
Absolutely.
This week was exhausting emotionally, and yesterday I was pretty riled up. First, before I answer, let me just say, when I came in your space yesterday, I was so riled up at this man's death and so sad that I said, I'm radicalized, I hate the left. I didn't, I was angry. I want to publicly state on this platform, I don't feel that way. I don't hate the left. I haven't been radicalized. I was really in my emotions yesterday when I said that, and I want to say today, in hindsight, after I've had a chance to calm down, I didn't mean any of that. That part. With that said, JB, I'm overall not angry because these politicians, while they are divisive, whether it's the right or the left, and they say things that will get us passionate because as individuals and as voters, we feel a certain way about certain topics, but angry, I don't have anger fatigue because these people don't keep me angry 24/7. I'm just not angry. Because I understand what the play is. The play is to use race and gender to divide us and distract us. And once you understand the play and start paying attention to the play, you become more politically savvy and less angry. You know what the next move is and you prepare. And if you're prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually, you're not angry. You just know how to respond and kind of defend and protect yourself, and you know how to stand on your moral code. So no, I'm not angry, and I don't have anger fatigue. What I do have is fatigue over people being played. Americans still don't understand that we're being played, and we fall for the okie doke.
Guys, Jordan, hold on 1 second, because I definitely have to shout out. We have two old school OGs from back in the day Clubhouse in the room right now. We got Jimmy White, Jay Blanco. Haven't seen this dude in forever. Him and his brother Freddie ran some of the coolest, funniest spaces on this app. We got John the Bomb, man. I haven't seen John the Bomb in forever. So I just want to say hello to those two.
I love Jay Blanco. What's up, Jay Blanco? I haven't seen you in ages. Thanks for stopping by the room.
Nah, the only thing I'll say to what you said is we can all be so lucky as for most people in America to have your emotional intelligence and your intellect in general to understand what you're feeling and to want better for yourself and to provide a good example. I'm going to let MOG make his comment, and then I got one thing to say. So please go ahead, MOG. MOG, you there?
I'm here. Okay. I'm here. I'm a warrior. I'm in a not so great area, so I might go up. But my white people, I love y'all, but I gotta let y'all know something, man. I've seen a lot of things online. About we're white, we're mad, we're angry, we've had enough, right? Okay, right. I got you, my white brother. Now, who are you upset with? Because I'm a little confused here. Now, a white person just killed another white person after the white person said something about gang violence. So it's a white on white crime. So I'm not sure who you're upset with. Do you all are familiar with a child? When a child is like upset and they look around and they look at the other kids, and if a kid is laughing or looking indifferent, they kind of like project onto the other child like, "Why are you laughing at me?" or "Why are you?" That's kind of what I'm saying. So what I need y'all, my white brothers, y'all got to take accountability for this, man. Y'all got an issue in y'all community, and I don't hate y'all when I say this, because we got issues in our community. And
MOG, respectfully, have they ID'd the shooter? Do we know that he's white?
Man, you know what? We don't, but he got it. He just got it. Or he got it.
Based on the pictures we've seen, it's likely, but MOG, perhaps you can understand. Well, I don't want to speak for all white people. What I'm angry at is my country. I'm angry at my fellow Americans. That's white and black people. I'm angry and pissed off at my country for putting us all through this. I'm mad at the media. I'm mad at Twitter for letting teenage kids see somebody get shot in the fucking neck and making an everyday common occurrence to look at. I'm mad that we have so many killings in 3 days that we're actually not even paying attention to a school shooting that happened during the process, during the time frame. I'm mad at my country. I'm very mad right now at it, and that includes the people in it of all fucking colors. The only thing I want to say to Slippers is he mentioned Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, and I don't know if you mentioned Floyd.
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor. Yeah, George Floyd. What I'll say is this. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me intellectually to say all four of those are the same cases. I think there was a tremendous amount of empathy for Trayvon Martin
And a lot of people didn't like the guy and didn't like the fact that the guy got off for that. So that's one example. Michael Brown, a good friend of mine. Michael Brown, a good friend of mine, is an FBI agent. He was sent to Ferguson, Missouri, to investigate Michael Brown, to find charges to give against the cop, because, believe it or not, the federal government was looking to prosecute the cop to try to calm down the public. Turns out that there wasn't anything to prosecute him over. Michael Brown's fingerprints were on the inside of the cop's door. He had reached in his car to get his gun from him after robbing a fucking store and refusing to surrender in the middle of a street. So I don't think that's anything close to Trayvon Martin. And what I'm deeply bothered by is you would think that these things are equal. You're talking about there's no empathy. There shouldn't be empathy for Michael Brown. There should be a tremendous amount of empathy for Trayvon Martin. Just because they all have brown skin doesn't mean they're all the same situation. That's part of the problem. I want to go to...
Wait, Mike, before you go to the next person.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. I think that I don't understand where we became as a country, as a culture, that we demonize the victim. And what I mean is, I don't give a and this can be polarizing. People stay on mute, please, until I'm done. I don't give a fuck what George Floyd's history was. He was murdered. Case closed. We all saw the video. But certain people love to come up and say, oh, but he had a criminal past and he did this. I don't give a fuck about that. Gives nobody the right to put their knee on that man's neck and kill him while he's screaming for his mother. Sorry, that's murder, Mike.
I agree with you. I didn't say my take on him. I agree with you on him.
So what about Breonna Taylor? What about Breonna? What about Breonna Taylor?
Kirk decided to die for the way he acted and the things he said. Then Michael Brown also deserved to die for reaching into a fucking cop car to try to take a gun from a cop. That's ridiculous. Nobody would fucking do that.
So what about Breonna Taylor?
Breonna Taylor did not deserve to die.
So again, I mean, we're talking about.
You said 4 people.
No. I didn't give you 4. I did not give you 4. I gave you 6. So again, at the end of the day, okay, this man has been proven to be demonizing people after their death following circumstances that you don't agree with, that even they should have died in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that you're completely wrong. I just don't.
I just want consistency.
I do too. I do too. And Trayvon Martin is not consistent with the same. With Michael Brown. They're vastly different circumstances. One person definitely deserved to die more than the other person, 1,000%. So I don't think it's consistent either to name 6 people when one of them is Trayvon Martin and another one is Michael Brown. They're just not simply the same issues. Mike, are you up? You've been there a long time. I thank you for your patience. If you have anything to say, I don't know if you do. If not, then Taco, you're next, and then Dope.
What about AC?
And then Mother.
Oh, who did I miss?
AC.
Oh, AC. Oh, AC up there. All right, AC. Let Mike talk, and then we're gonna go to Taco, and then AC.
Yeah, thank you. What about Dope?
What happened to Dope? Is next. Dope is after AC. AC, keep it short. Thanks.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, thanks. All right, I've been listening for a while. I had a few points. Sorry, bear with me. One, because I was listening from, I think it was Christine, that was talking to the teacher. She made some good points, and I kind of like aligned with her and MOG in the way where Christine was talking about how, the phones, social media, those kinds of things all playing a role into what's happening today, I think, in forming, the minds of the youth and just people. And then, I align with MOG on, I don't think it's up to any of us to judge for anyone to die. And so I'm a Christian. I know that might be controversial in itself, but for me, it's not up to me to judge anybody for anything they do. Like, so yesterday when this is happening to Charlie Kirk, I'm seeing all the comments about like what you guys are talking about him, him praising other people's deaths. And so this is kind of wild, but I try to take it to the extreme of, okay, Adolf Hitler. Is it up to me that guy dies? For the things he did. No, it's not. What he did was bad, but I'm not going to be the ultimate judge and have him pay for whatever he did. I'll have an opinion about it for sure, but ultimately what I think boils down to with all of what's happening right now is that I haven't heard much people talk about is mental health.
We don't know why this guy killed Charlie Kirk yet. But if it's because he didn't like what he was saying, ultimately that's mental health. That you cannot control emotions enough to just let this man speak where you feel like you need to kill him. I think a lot of the shootings that mass shootings that happen is all mental health. Like no one is addressing these things, that it's mental health. Like I get people want to argue guns, but still at the root of it is mental health, really. And no one is really talking about that yet. The only other thing I could see happening is, this is an op from, say, Israel, that because he was anti-Israel and they send the agent in, which is far-fetched too. But again, I think it really, really boils down to a mental health issue right now. And just also, I want to say that I'm definitely not sickened to the point where I don't like these people, that like the other guy, Mother, was saying that he deserved it, fuck him, and all these kinds of things, Like yesterday, I prayed for those people. At first, I was kind of sickened by it, and I stopped and I prayed for those people. I prayed for those people to soften their heart and not have such hard hearts, because that is just gonna continue this cycle. So what's to stop another guy on the street from the guy Mother saying, "Oh yeah, fuck him, he deserves to die." Someone that had a different experience from Mother coming and shooting Mother now, saying you deserve to die because you said you deserve to die. We're just gonna keep going in a cycle right now, and it's just really dangerous. These comments that people are making, like I'm just hoping and praying that the world can step back and be like, yeah, this guy might say something I don't agree with, and they might do some bad things, but at the end of the day, he's got to pay one way or another, and I'm not going to be the one to do it. It's going to get one way or another.
Hey, Mike, and thank you for your patience, and I'll let you continue. But let me say this: they say that some of the evidence they've already gathered on ammunition was pro-trans rhetoric. If it turns out that this guy is some kind of pro-trans lunatic, that's going to set this country on fire. There's going to be even more division. But please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, and I've heard those things too, but again, that still boils down to what I said, right? Mental health, correct? I'm not gonna bash any trans people or anything like that. Again.
So at what point are you gonna start holding young disgruntled white men accountable for blowing their classmates away in elementary schools? At what point are you going to start doing that? Because again, that may be part of the frustration that a lot of people have with the narrative and the rhetoric. People wanting to demonize a certain group of people that they don't like, okay, and making them the problem that America should be paying attention to, when statistically the good majority of mass shooters in America, okay, in K through 12 education are white, disgruntled young men.
School shooters are black, though. They don't support that shit.
Hey, Slippers, we got a couple people online, so I appreciate it, but I need to keep moving through the queue here. And Mike, I hear your passion, and I feel like it's pretty heartfelt, to be honest with you.
Wait, who just said
I can really tell.
shooters are black?
Can I address that? What Slippers said?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, of course.
It's just again,
yeah, go ahead.
Said, I'm not the one to hold them accountable. I would like to see the root of it addressed. That's what I'm talking about right now. We need to catch that before it happens. If it's a disgruntled white shooter, it's a disgruntled black shooter, disgruntled trans shooter. I don't care what it is. At the root of that issue, every time is going to be a mental health problem.
That's going to be a spiritual problem, but y'all really don't want to talk about that right there.
I agree, MOG, but not everyone's going to go. I saw in the chat, Necro was, if he's not a believer, and that's fine. I'm not going to press anybody to believe any type of religion. And it doesn't take that to know that this is a mental health issue, So
yeah, and JB spoke to mental health as well, and social media's influence on hurting it.
Right, Mike, and that's what I'm saying. When are they going to address the mental health crisis amongst young, disgruntled white men in America?
It's a younger Slippers, young disgruntled men in America, and women and kids, black, white, all the fucking.
You just had our president trying to influence people to create legislation and take guns.
Stop making it a racial fucking issue. Taco, go ahead.
What's really sad is he's not even that extreme. Charlie is pretty much just normal, and the left used to be the intellectual side, the academic side, the critical thinking side, and they've lost all of that. And anytime you bring up some of these topics, they lose all the nuance. But most of the time when they have their fucking argument, they have to incorporate all the fucking nuance. I shouldn't have to be considered by people conservative because I don't agree with transgender shit. I don't think that's an extreme idea that I'm having. I think what they have is fucking extreme. Like, I'm not conservative because I think a 9-month abortion's a little fucking late. But your average fucking Democrat uses peer pressure and speaks out loud about this stuff in front of other people and then ostracizes people. They've turned into fucking straight up whack jobs. And everybody's fucking sitting around acting like it's not totally true, or some of them have been brainwashed to think that that's what's normal. It's fucking 9 months in. People don't even believe that that was normal, that that was going on in 7+ states. They'll fucking scream over it. It's fucking weird.
Goddamn, Taco, you dropped a bomb there. That's really something we haven't heard said in quite a while, actually, in all these issues, all these rooms I've been in. Nobody's said it that clearly. The idea that he's not really that extreme by standards that were 10 years ago, for instance.
It's getting annoying because they're like, oh no, you're conservative, oh, you're anti-women, oh, you're transphobic, you know? People know what affirmative action is because they're floating around Charlie's statement about saying something about a black pilot. Now all of a sudden everyone's confused about affirmative action. Now all of a sudden the scope of that statement is only limited to a racial statement. Now all of a sudden they forgot about fucking affirmative action. That's what most normal people think when they hear about that program and how it fucking works. Because that is a very quick logical conclusion to it. And anytime you say something about, you know, oh, was that, well, if it's, you know, if it's a affirmative action thing, if it's a DEI thing, well, it sounds like they kind of just shoehorned you in there over the best candidate. And if you acknowledge that, they're like, oh, you're fucking racist. Oh, no, I'm fucking normal. You're like retarded and an asshole, honestly, because that's what it's become.
I appreciate the take. Thank you. Dope. Go ahead. Enjoyed that one. Are you there, Dope?
My turn?
Yeah, and then Mother.
Well, Dope, 1 second. Mike, I have to say that Dope is one of my favorite speakers on this app.
Me too.
I'm glad he's here. Yeah.
Me too. I've been spending quite a bit of time in rooms with him lately, and I really enjoy him.
Oh, wow. Shucks, guys. Thanks. I really appreciate that. I'm surprised that we're in a room with some people that I've seen in rooms before, and I'm hearing arguments from people I would assume are less smart. And I don't think for people that are, when it comes to Charlie Kirk specifically, if you want to say like you have a right to be indifferent due to the fact that he was murdered, sure. I mean, there's lots of murders and lots of tragedies that people are indifferent to. So that's its own thing. But apparently in the chat, I'm hearing that some people were saying that he deserved to die, which is fucking crazy. What did Charlie Kirk do where he would deserve to die, or someone would rejoice in his death? Genuinely, I think about it, he's just a person that spoke mainstream conservative thoughts into the public and was an advocate for that. He wasn't like a far right dude by most standards of pretty much anyone would agree on the political spectrum. His furthest right opinion was that a girl should aim to get married outside of high school. Like that's the furthest right you could think of this fucker. He wasn't a fucking Nazi. He had controversial comments, but compared to literally dozens of people in the mainstream media, like fucking Mehdi Hassan, who are given platforms just as loud, he was not that extreme. So rejoicing in his murder just shows that some people will rejoice in the murder of anybody they see as opposite to them politically. And that's a bad sign for our society. If you think of it this way, like, we're on Clubhouse. This is the app where people talk out their ass constantly, get their own opinions. According to the logic of some of the people I've seen, some people on this stage they deserve to die, basically, for their own opinions. And I'm not saying